What's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Bree Flemings from Gem Social, the CEO and founder of Gem Social. We're the premier platform for small brands and mid-tier brands to grow with creators. So today we're going to talk about why small creators are really outperforming celebrities and mega influencers, right? And especially because we focus on like those smaller brands, right? The startups, the early stage startups as well, small businesses, local businesses, and there are local businesses that are making a lot of money, but they're still considered a small business because of their revenue, technically speaking, right? So I'm talking to them mostly today, right? And a lot of people are making mistakes because they just book that friend, right? That are like, oh, my friend has 100,000 followers, so I'm just going to use them. Does your friend align with your brand? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you have a sporting goods store, right? And you sell baseball gear, basketball gear, soccer, like volleyball, stuff like that. I'm not sure if it makes sense to hire somebody who shows no level of athleticism on their page, right? So even if that person has 100,000 followers and they don't show that they purchase, fitness gear, if they don't show that they're getting something for their kid, for sports, a certain season, right? Basketball season's coming up, football seasons and like just soccer seasons going on. Like, just if they're not actively showing that and building community around that on their page, why would you want to pay them to promote yours? So we're just going to get into the reasons why I personally feel like small creators, which I would even consider nano-influencers, because when you're on the app, you can select nano-influencers and they will populate. But nano-influencers are often performing celebrities and marketing for several reasons, and I'm going to go down the list of reasons and then we'll break it down. The first reason is, believe it or not, a lot of nano-influencers have higher engagement rates. 2, they're more authentic and they're easier to trust. 3, they have a more niche audience because, look, sometimes less is more. 4, the cost effectiveness. And that's something that we talk about with Gem Social. We want to decrease the cost of ad spend. So that cost effectiveness is amazing. 5, better ROI, better return on investment. Even we give small creators a chance and we see way more results, whether it's in the views, whether it's in conversions, whether it's just building an authentic brand, because we have a UGC person right now that we use. And guess what? Her brand, she literally always talks about how she makes money in marketing, being a content creator, and other microservices that she has around her personal brand as a creator. On top of that, she's an event producer, but she's literally built her brand up so well that she's able to make money in so many different ways. And she checks out in 6 figures. I think it's her second year that she's going to be clocking out 6 figures since she's left her full-time job at Apple. So I say that to say, like, even we see a good ROI on small creators, right? It's less saturated content. A lot of these mega influencers, getting these big bags, you'll see their content sometimes all over the place because at this point, if they're getting 25,000 from this brand and then 70,000 from another brand and, whatever it may be, these brands are likely nothing alike half of the time because their agents are just, their goal is to make sure that they're making a lot of money. Now, not every mega influencer does that. I'm not judging mega influencers at all. I have some mega influencer friends and mega influencers on the platform, but I have seen that trend of kind of like getting scattered because you got to think about it, even down to musicians, right? When they were small artists, they were so focused on like what was so important to them. And then when they get bigger and bigger and signed by a label, working, with others, and now people are kind of managing their career, their music kind of goes all over the place until they have that sense of independence again. The same thing is happening with, believe it or not, these mega influencers. So those small creators are easier to help build a real personal relationship with, right? And then which brings me into the next point, stronger community connections. Like, the fact that you can even talk with these creators and build a relationship with them is amazing because a lot of these mega influencers have managers, right? So they are who you're talking to primarily. You rarely have a relationship with them. And that's important to me as a small business, to have a relationship with somebody, because if you have a relationship with someone, you can come up with a good deal on both ends, right? Small creators are looking for partnerships just as much as small businesses are. So let's dig deeper into this, right? So number 1, higher engagement rates. So nano influencers, they range, and this is just based off of what data is saying nowadays, between 1,000 to 10,000 followers, right? And they typically do have a higher engagement rate than celebrities because that's a more tighter their audience to connect with. You know, their audiences are more loyal, they're more engaging, they're usually genuinely interested. I have like 18,000 followers, right? But because I've had a couple different pivots, right? As a DJ, now I'm a tech founder, and now I built this app, my engagement kind of has been all over the place and scattered, because now I'm looking for who I want to sell the product to and who I want to engage with, to get people to come to my events, to download the app, to sign up as a business, sign up as an influencer. But I say that to say, like, my page has pivoted many times, so my engagement is still low, right? So I know people with 4,000 followers, which are nano-influencers. I'm a micro-influencer, but nano-influencers that have a higher story count than me when they're just starting out and they're finding their groove, right? But sometimes they get to that point where they're finding their groove at that like 5,000 follower range and building this great community, and they have a higher engagement because they're so much closer to their community. As in, I was so out of mine for a while as I was growing as a DJ. Now I'm getting back into community, right? Just like I did when I was a small creator. So, and which brings me to the next point, you know, followers really see these people as real people. They feel relatable. They're not untouchable. I don't feel like I'm untouchable, but I have came across people who were like, oh, I was scared to go up to you during your DJ set or after you came off the stage, or, you know, like, this is where people don't feel necessarily relatable anymore, because they feel like you're so much not ahead, but like unreachable because of what you're doing. So keep that in mind as well. Being authentic, you know, being trusting. So like I said, nano influencers are more relatable than a celebrity. I can talk to a nano influencer. I can get on a call and talk about a project with a nano influencer. As in, with a celebrity, you're likely going through one of their, you know, their talent agents, or the, you know, maybe the influencer relations person or their manager or something of that sort. And that's their job, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I actually spoke on a panel with a TikTok creator out here who's considered a mega influencer. And she said that, you know, until she fired her manager, she had nothing, like really not much contact with any of these clients. Like and let me tell you what bothered me the most is that when she left that management, she didn't have those contacts to the people that she had worked with. She just had the deliverables of posting, but like she didn't have that point of contact. So now on both ends, like, no, if she wanted to go back and work out a management deal, or not a management deal, but worked out a monthly deal to do content for them, like, forget it, because the agency kept those contacts for their next creator. So that's something to keep in mind, you know, when you get these managers, like, you know, make sure you have some level of alignment if you want to really have a relationship with the people you are taking money from and obviously doing the work for, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And also their recommendations, because they are relatable, like, it feels like you're taking advice from a friend. Again, a celebrity, we know that they're just taking the bag. And it's not to say that small creators aren't either, but it's kind of less obvious, especially if the creators know how to authentically represent it. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, let's get into the third one, niche audiences. You know, so nano influencers often do cater to a specific community or interest. Being a small creator, most small creators not only build community off of their interests, but off of the problems that they're having, right? So a lot of them feel more relatable to each other when they have other small creators following them as well in their niche. So let's say like a vegan, you know, maybe someone is dropping tips on becoming vegan. You know, she has a vegan recipe book, she's dropping content. Maybe some other people are struggling to, you know, transition to being vegan, or even a specific kind of vegan, like alkaline vegan, right? Then that person's building all around there, which makes it great for a vegan gummy company, you know, that's like organic and alkaline or wherever it may be, that has their differentiating factors. It makes it easy for them to reach out to these vegan, you know, this vegan creator, right? It makes more sense to use the small ones. So that's something I keep in mind, because they're going to convert better. Now, also, brands, they can target their exact demographic more easily with nano influencers. Triller, for example, booked 40 nano influencers through Gem Social, primarily musicians, because they were competing with TikTok. They are competing with TikTok, but they were competing especially with TikTok when we thought TikTok was going away in January. So they swiftly came in and booked creators to talk about transitioning to TikTok. And that worked out very well with them, because they had over like 10,000 plus conversions, and they only paid $1,500. So that was about like 30 to 40 $40 per creator. And that was cool for the nano influencer because that was some of their first partnerships. And then some other people, that was just like some extra little side cash for a really small deliverable, because it was only one video and nothing more, nothing less outside of that. So like I said, 1,500, and they had 10,000 clicks back to Triller, which I thought was very interesting, right? So I said to say like that conversion came down to like 15 cents per click. That's amazing. Never seen that with a Facebook ad, so this is something something to keep in mind. So, which brings me to the next part, a better ROI. I literally just said it. Triller booked, like 40 creators for $1,500. So that is 40 divided by 1,500. Oh, even less, $26 a creator, right? And then they ended up getting 10,000 clicks. That's amazing. That is amazing, to be honest. So that is a higher ROI. And when you have lower costs and higher engagement, it's not even just the clicks, like it's also the awareness that now other people had about Triller and posting on Triller as well. So campaigns with nano-influencers do often result in a higher ROI. It really just depends, as long as you have good, really solid deliverables for the actual creator to do, because that's something else we have to discuss. It's just like really coming up with a great way to give creators content directions. So that's just something to keep in mind. Less saturated content, like I said, celebrities posts often get lost in brand partnerships from all over the place, not even connecting. Like last week we just saw this woman was pescatarian, now all of a sudden this week she's vegan. Like those little things, the interest that you're discussing on your page is real. It's not to say you can't pivot, it's not to say that you can't like or try new things, but it's so obvious when you are faking it for money, and celebrities do that a lot all the time. And then the last part, stronger community connections. Nano-influencers, they're often, they interact personally with followers. Like they are actually responding to comments, responding to DMs, they're liking other people's stuff. Like they're actually liking people's stories. Like a lot of celebrities, it's not to say that they're never on their phone, but a lot of it is ran by management, so, and same thing with mega influencers. So with all these different points that I just made, why wouldn't you want to work with small creators? In this case, you literally can have a relationship with them. You can work with them on an ongoing basis. You can set up a budget and actually see how many nano influencers you can actually afford, because we have our suggested rate tool on the website and on our mobile app. And you can actually figure out what pieces of content will win, because this is where I say less is more. That, let's say $5,000 to go pay maybe mid-tier influencer with that 100,000 following range could go straight into an army of nano influencers, right? You let's say your budget was $5,000 for real, like for influencers. You really want to try it out. You want to get a bunch of people talking about maybe your local business and like a store. Okay, $5,000 budget. Let's just say that's $50 per small creator on average. That's 100 creators making content about your business. 100. And if you execute that right, you can get that done in 2 months, really. So that's 100 creators talking about your business rather than one. And if you have solid deliverables, like in making sure, okay, this is how they need to post. This is the kind of, people, this is the kind of winning posts I see in my with my competitors, and I want them to do the same thing. Cool, because we're making it very easy for people to pick up on directions and executing. So imagine 100 people promoting your business, and if all those people can get you at least 100 to 500 clicks, so I'm just going to say average 250, that's 25,000 clicks back to your business, and that literally could be, booking something, buying something, might be just even going into your store in real life. Like it's just so many different ways to bring awareness and conversions with small creators, but you're taking a huge risk by just booking 1 or 2, even 3, bigger influencers. Well, especially the ones over 100,000 followers, because now, like I said, you're really going to be running into having those conversations with their manager and not necessarily them building that personal relationship, because they don't care. They won't care. So that's just something to keep in mind next time you decide to book, a mega influencer. I'm not taking away any money, anyone's bag, but I just want to make sure you guys are making the right decisions. There are reasons why you want to use a mega influencer. Trust and believe me, we've thought about it before. I have dream goals of who I could see represented Gem Social, but that would be on a brand partnership side. That would be on an equity split side, because it's more so like this person's representing our company in general and anywhere they go. Like that's what people do with like Sprite, and that's what people do with Serato DJ and such. But like we're a small company and we're going to start where we need to be. And if you're a small company listening to this, start with small creators, because there's some people locally that are supporting you right now that would love to promote your business, and you're overseeing them. You're not paying attention to them. So keep that in mind next time. See y'all in the next episode.